Meanwhile, I will actually check that the stream is outputting anything at all.
All right, I think it just went up. I think it just went up. Hello. Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, cool. Are you seeing it? You seeing all my Comic Sans?
Yes. Ooh, that's some choice Comic Sans. Very here for it.
I had a much bolder color around the outline, and then I was like, I don't know. It's a little distracting. I,
Hmm.
it's really okay. So while we're pre-rolling right here, I'm curious your thoughts on this. As someone who has chosen like a bold color theme,
Yeah.
like, do you have? I know, like finding a like really nice kind of muted color is tough.
Hmm.
Like I feel like Alex Trost and like Front End Horse, like they've like really nailed like that like really nice kind of like calming like subtle color, and then you've really nailed the kind of like
Bold and
bold.
in your face.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel overwhelming. So I'm curious, like how much work did that take? Like,
Oh man, it took a while. In fact, I should go. So funny enough, the branding that I put together actually started with I was messing around in Inkscape trying to build a new logo. Um,
nice.
and I had this idea to do purple, red, and yellow. Um, and the first purple I chose was nasty. It was like a plum color. Um, I needed yeah, I needed something that was with purples.
Yeah.
The trouble is there are two flavors of purple. There's reddish purple and
Mm-hmm.
bluish purple.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, 9 times out of 10, blue purples are better than red purples.
Okay. Okay.
In my opinion, in my very well-founded opinion.
Do you have
Um,
do you have examples of like a blue purple and a red purple, like based on brand, like Discord? Is that, or like Twitch? Are those like blue purples or red
in,
purples?
in in my opinion, Twitch is more of a blue or purple.
Okay.
It's closer to like indigo than to crimson, right? In my experience, I just don't see a whole lot of brands going with crimson in the tech space, right?
Yep.
Where I would expect to see crimson is in wineries, right? Um,
Okay.
but and you know for very logical reason there, but it's something that would be I think hard to build a brand off of. I think tech benefits a lot from strong color choices, perhaps like bright, uh, not dark and gloomy. I feel like crimsons tend to feel, for me at least, like darker and gloomier.
Yeah, I
Um,
hear that. I hear that. Now you have like I one thing I love about what you've done is you've chosen kind of like you have like a dual shade of purple,
yeah.
which is smart, I think, because you can
Mhm.
kind of like it's adaptive, a little more adaptive.
Yes. It's always an adventure. Like I try to keep the number of purples on my site in check, but I always feel like I need an ever lighter purple. So it's like, oh, this is the like lighter purple, and then this is the lightest purple, and then this is maximum lightness purple underscore final underscore draft underscore v2. Um, um, yeah, I'm getting dunked on by Alex, of course. No,
It's called white pen.
oh, actually, okay, Alex, to to expand on that, one of my design tricks is to never actually use white. Like, don't use
Whoa.
FFF. And similarly, never use actual black. Because once you use actual white and actual black, you have nowhere else to go. And that means that you are collapsing any form of detail you get, right? You have
Okay.
already chosen the extremes, um, and therefore the extremes mean nothing. Um, and yeah, so even if you were to go to benmyers.dev and
Yeah.
then pull up like a blog post, the background, I think colloquially, anyone would call it white, right?
Okay.
But it's actually white smoke. The CSS name color white smoke. And you can see it kind of painfully actually in the cards up here where it has the learn with Jason, because Jason uses pure white. And you can actually see that
Mm.
there is a difference there. But if you were to go to one of my blog posts, um, down below,
Yeah.
I'll let you pick one of your favorites, perhaps.
I mean,
Um,
it is. I mean, this is clearly my favorite.
okay. Um, the the background here, it looks white for all intents and purposes, right? Like no one's gonna look at that and go, "Oh, that's not actually white," but it's not actually white. It is white smoke, and that means
Ah,
that if I ever need something to stand out on top of it, I can make it pure white. I have a place to go. So that is my little design trick: is never actually use white and black because then you have nowhere to go.
interesting, interesting. I feel like what? Watch this. Oops, oops. I'm
Just pure
like,
white. Yeah.
I'm like white and black all day. I gotta learn. I gotta learn here. So white smoke. Do you have a black color that you like?
Um, I don't. I feel like the CSS name colors all skew towards the lighter colors.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's not like a really cool. There's not a cool name for like a black color. There should be like
Mhm.
a. I don't know.
Charcoal. I'm sure
Yeah.
that there is like a charcoal, right? But like yeah, that right there, I think I can go ahead and hang up now because that was like my one design tip. And I think we're done here. Um,
White smoke and then whatever the equivalent is on the black side.
mhm.
I like it. I like it. Um, let's do this thing, huh?
Yeah.
We could chatter all day. Also, Alex, we were just talking about how beautiful all of your work is and how you've kind of like gotten those subtle colors really nice. We were talking just a second ago about like, subtle, those subtle colors in branding versus like the like bold colors in branding. I uh am just like I am like I think branding averse, right? So that's why I just like I did the dark gray and the Comic Sans today as I was setting this up. So um Ben, do
Hello. That's
you know,
me.
so I know you super well, but if there's anybody who like tuned in today who doesn't know you super well, do you mind telling us a little bit about you, what you do, what you're doing right now? Probably is the most exciting thing, and kind of just tell us about you.
Yeah, howdy. I'm Ben. If you know me around, it's because I have my brand can be distilled to maybe four different things: accessibility, 11D, bright purple, and puns. Um, and so that is me. That's all you really need to know. No, but I stream every Tuesday a show called Some Antics, where I bring on guests from around the web development industry to teach me things about accessibility and core web technologies, and just generally building great user experiences. So that's my main thing that I do with any sort of cadence. Uh, I also occasionally blog about accessibility and the like. Um, and so that is a lot less frequent, but you'll sometimes find folks sharing my article about the DL, for instance. And so those are the things I do: accessibility, core web technologies. I blog about it, I stream about it, I have lots of fun about it. I also you can find me in a few discords. Two mainly, one of which is the Lunch Dev slash React Podcast Discord, and one of which is the Front End Horse Discord, both of whom are well represented today. So, um,
Alex, what's the front end horse Discord?
I can get that.
I'm gonna go to just
Uh,
front end horse. We're gonna pitch you hard right now. Okay, and then yeah,
okay.
just click Discord.
Yep. Um, Lovely, great communities. I'm a big fan of open, inviting, welcoming web dev communities that just really celebrate folks learning together. And so I believe both the React podcast and Front End Horse Discords are that. Uh, and so yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ben. It's kind of fun to. I mean, we talk like pretty much every day, you
Mhm.
and I, and so it's kind of fun to like kind of hear what you're up to. And then tell us a little bit. You're doing more streaming events this month
Yes.
than typical. So
Yeah.
pitch us on tell us what's coming up.
Yeah, well, first of all, the reason I'm doing more streams than usual is because I'm between jobs. I accepted an offer at Microsoft, so I will be starting that November 15th. And so I figured I had to shuffle around a few of my streams until I had a better sense of what my new schedule would look like. And so I'm doing this stream today. Tomorrow, I'm back on the Semantics channel with Carrie Fisher. That's Carrie with one R, so not Princess Leia. We're going to be talking about SVG accessibility.
Cool.
So, how do you use icons and such accessibly without introducing a whole
Awesome.
bunch of extra clutter? Um, Next Tuesday, I've got Austin Krim from the React Podcast Discord coming on. We're going to be jamming out with the web audio API.
Oh,
And
heck yeah.
then finally, next Wednesday, I'm going to have Chance Strickland on, and we are going to be doing some things with Remix. It sounds like we might
Whew.
be building ourselves a mini Basecamp clone, if
Oh my
Chance is
gosh.
believed. So lots of things going on. Oh, and then next week I'm participating in the 11ties, which is 7 speakers, each giving 11-minute talks about 11. So lots of things going on. It's going to be my 2 weeks off are maybe my two busiest weeks yet.
I love it. I love it. Um, I also like I love the shtick of 11-minute talks for
Yeah,
an 11D. It's so great. It's so great. Okay,
yeah,
let's dive into to what we're doing here today.
yes,
Okay, thank you for all of that. Now, in addition to all the stuff that you mentioned, you also made this really cool chat overlay thing, which I've been using. I love so much, and it kind of ties into 11D as far as I understand it. There was like the
yeah,
11D 1.0 is introducing serverless, and um or like serverless functionality, and you wanted to explore that using kind of like building up a Twitch overlay that you could just pass in a URL and then have chat. And so that's this. It's at showmy.chat, and you have a handful of kind of like pre-made themes. We got Alex represented here, um, and then some other kind of like more like standard ones as well.
yes.
And basically, you just do this. We do lunch dev like that, for that. Oh my gosh, I keep hitting escape, and because I'm like,
Oh, I
Vim,
see.
and it keeps doing this thing. It's really irritating.
Yeah.
Um, that's one thing. If you ever learn Vim, you'll hit escape like 1,000 times a day, like just in regular use. It's so stupid. Okay, so and then we can just choose a theme. So let's go with the default theme, get our URL, and because this is just web technology, we can open this up over here and then see if people start chatting.
Yeah, let me go ahead and stick some stuff in there. It's at the very bottom left, but yeah, it's popping up our chat in real time as people comment things. It supports emojis, for instance. I
Ooh, let's see an
go ahead
emoji.
and let me stick a few front end horse emojis in here.
Woo, they're
There we
so
go.
cute. Also,
It's
Alex, thanks for the recommend. I just ordered some with a I ordered a test one. My kids are obsessed with Dumbo octopuses or octopi, however you prefer to pluralize that. And so I ordered a set of yellow Dumbo octopus. So super excited about that. Appreciate they're so cute. Look at how cute
mhm.
those are. Um,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
So maybe taking a step back and talking about like why this tool exists.
Yes.
So m- many streamers like to be able to display their chat as part of their stream. And they do this for a number of reasons. One is that, if you're one of the streamers who likes to keep your recordings and maybe upload them to YouTube, like I do, like Alex in the chat does, like as soon as your recording goes to a different platform, you lose all history of the chat. And so this could be a way to archive the conversation.
Yep.
Um, Another thing is this is one of the things you learn about streaming as you start to stream is that folks who are participating in the chat really like being able to influence the direction of the stream in some way, like being able to assert some sort of influence.
Hmm.
And this manifests in sometimes a really trivial way, which is that even if you just type something into the chat and it appears on the stream, there's just some part of the brain that really likes that.
Yeah.
That you had some sort of impact, right? Like I asserted my influence on this stream. And so just even having that gives the chatter, the folks who are watching live, some sort of autonomy over the stream, which is this really weird psychological trick. Um, but yeah, so folks like to be able to display their chat uh, on the stream, like as part of the video feed. And um, what I have found though is that means every streamer eventually ends up like treading this same path of like having to figure out how to get overlays to work. And there are libraries out there that are supposed to make it easy to parse Twitch chat messages, and then you can use, for instance, core web technologies to build up a theme. But like, let's be honest, that's incredible. Like the number of people who can do that is incredibly niche. And if you want to start streaming, you don't want to have to worry about this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? So everyone's going to be treading the same path of having to figure out how to parse the same uh, like libraries to create themes. This seemed like a nice opportunity for something plug and play, where like
Yeah.
you could choose a pre-made theme that already looks pretty nice and just run with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
Show My Chat is.
I love it. Yeah. And I think that it's interesting because like someone like me, I am really bad at like customizing things. I really don't like I am not a tinkerer type of person. I am definitely just a I don't know. I have something interesting that I want to learn right now. I'm going to just hit this button that says go live and then just like talk about the thing. And if anybody's
Yeah.
interested, we'll like do this thing. And I have always appreciated when people like yourself take a moment to extract the thing that was like difficult to do and then just make it super easy to integrate. Um, so this is a super cool tool. Now, I think that one thing that we need to talk about is like so we have show my chat. I can actually open up a let's just for the benefit of kind of seeing what this tool is capable of. We're going to choose a different theme and we're going to grab that, and it just adds a theme query parameter, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And we can open that up in a new tab and see what happens. Um okay. So, oh, look at how cute this one is. Hello, Max LW. Welcome, welcome. Happy you're here. Cool. Okay, so we have this additional chat. Super cool. Animal
Yeah.
Crossings. I love it. I love it. Now there's a bunch of other styles, and you have this now. Now I want to like kind of like dive into the like what this actually uh need this for my life. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Mhm.
So today we're going to kind of like talk about I think before we dive into the code, we wanted to talk a little bit about like aesthetic, kind of
Yeah.
personality, like how this thing because you've built this thing to be themable like from the ground up.
Yes. And one of the caveats, I guess, is the long-term goal is that there would be a ton of themes and you wouldn't actually have to do any of this yourself, right? You wouldn't have to go into the styles and build this, but I have not had the capacity to actually build out a whole bunch of themes.
For
And
sure.
so out of necessity, it means that the themes that do exist are people such as yourself or Travis in the chat, just people who wanted something like this and needed a custom theme. And so they built out a theme.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing today. And we did build, or I built Show My Chat to be highly themable. So anything you can do with CSS, you should have the APIs necessary for that. And this gets into a thing that you and I geek out about a lot, which is actually you want to take this from here. You want to kind of dive into the approach here.
Oh, sure. No, wait, which thing do we geek out about a lot?
Uh,
Oh,
Data
oh, oh,
distribution,
okay, yeah, yeah,
data
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay,
acquisition.
I got that. Okay, it took me
Yeah.
a second. Like the handoff was really
Oh
well
yeah.
executed on your side, and I fumbled it as you were
Yeah.
like passing me the baton. Yes, thank you. I wish I was. You just lobbed it up for me, and I just failed.
Yeah. Maybe I'll. So, we are both fans of using data attributes to style things. You can come up with like there are many ways to come up with a good selector, right? But one of the reasons we like using data attributes in our CSS selectors is because it gives you a tight location between effectively a label and a value, right? So um I'm trying to think of a good case here. But for instance, if you were to inspect the markup for our like either of our show my chat, like currently running themed chat
Oh
overlays
yeah,
that we've got, maybe it's easiest to actually look at the real code that's being generated here.
sure.
So if we dive into this, let's actually that's perfect. We're gonna look at your message here that you've shared, which is actually down at the very bottom of this. We've got this is an unordered list with a bunch of list items, and you can see that we've got some data attributes in here. One of my favorites is the data Twitch sender role attribute, which has a list of the roles that you have. So you are a broadcaster and a subscriber. So by encoding all this information as data attributes, we can still target it with CSS, but doing so requires us to lean on this tight collocation, right? It's not enough for us to just simply say like, oh, if is subscriber, right? Like we have to specifically say that, you know, it has a Twitch sender roles value of subscriber
Hmm.
or of broadcaster. So it gives us a tight collocation between um, what kind of information this is and the value of that information, which I really love. It makes our styles more explicit. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So this one has, so just to like flesh that out, we have a
yeah.
Twitch sender roles broadcaster subscriber, and
Mhm.
then up here for Travis's, it's let's see, Twitch shoot, Twitch sender role. Nope, no
So
Twitch sender role.
yeah, because
Yes,
you know, Travis has not chosen to subscribe quite yet. I'm not putting you on blast, Travis. But yeah, you're not a subscriber. You're not a mod or a broadcaster here, so it just doesn't even show the roles there.
cool. Yeah,
Um,
and that's all on me because I have been very like very bad at like again very bad at doing anything that's like cool.
mhm.
Okay.
So this in general is going to be the approach here is we're going to find something we want to style in some way, and we're going to use the data attribute and the value. So we're going to use those in conjunction so that our styles are going to remain very explicit about what it is we are controlling, rather than you learning classes, right? Which the problem with classes here is that you know they can be applied in any context, and you can do that with a data attribute, but I find that people are more hesitant to just slap a data attribute everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so yeah,
Yeah, and if you and so this was the handoff that I missed. Is that I wrote a post. I don't think I have dates on here, but I wrote a post a while ago on kind of an approach that I'd been working through for this type of using this type of selector. And so it's really fun, and I have a bunch of examples in there, and then I have a follow up post kind of next to it that talks about how this compares to like BEM conventions and how you would map kind of like different. Kind of like if you're going to have like an avatar, like what that would look like, what certain modifier and whatever
yeah,
APIs look like. And so we won't go into like all of that, but if you had wanted to dive a little bit more into that kind of like how do I use data attributes as selectors, like I have two posts on my blog about that, and I really like them and you really like them, and I think you know
yeah,
I think I don't know. I'm actually doing a stream with Jason Langsdorf
yeah.
about data attribute selectors, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's I don't know some
Mhm.
when is that? Let's let's find out. Thanks for adding this, by the way.
No
Yeah,
problem.
November 18th coming up. Not too long. 16,
Not too long.
15
Okay,
days. 15 days.
so
Okay.
we've kind of talked a bit about how the markup works, and I think we'll see that more as we start developing. But let's, I guess, talk about what kind of personality and aesthetic you want for your Twitch chat. And I think a lot of this is going to come down to why you want to have a Twitch chat overlay.
Yes. Okay, so that's a good question. So we talked about a little bit of like the whys that you might want to have a Twitch overlay. I think for me it's like it's all the things that you talked about where it's like I want to have that like, participation like on the screen, etc. Um but then also kind of having it, there is that challenge also that you mentioned of like if you're doing stuff, if you're streaming on Twitch and then you kind of export that out to YouTube, you don't get the benefit of that chat anymore. And so it's kind of like disorienting if you ever watch those, later. So like right now I've just been putting them as like unlisted videos, but it'd be nice if they were like if they were like whole artifacts. So that's kind of like the big thing. Um,
Hmm.
Now one thing that's a little bit different about so one challenge that I've had with some of these other styles is I don't have a specific place for chat. So like in this layout that we have going on today, I just made this today for like kind of like a two-person type of setup, kind of
Hmm.
similar but worse than yours. Um, and but usually like if I'm just doing like streaming by myself, it's like I'll do the whole like I want to get every pixel to make sure that like the size is as big as possible. And so I just do straight like my 1080p, kind of coding streaming display and then my head overlaid on top of that. Kind of that green screen type of like, streamer look.
Hmm.
Oh, hey Travis, thanks so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. um and yeah, so that's the big that's kind of the big thing. And I within that scenario, I think that I'd really like it if they um kind of disappeared, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So like right
Yeah.
now, all of these persist, and so they like stick around. But I was kind of thinking it'd be nice for mine if they just kind of like floated in and then like disappeared. And I guess like if there were multiple, like if I'm doing a really good job, and there's
Hmm.
multiple of them, they would stack. And yeah, so that's kind
Yeah.
of what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that makes a lot of sense for your solo streams because especially for those who have never seen your solo streams, you have your screen like the full size of the Twitch video, right? You
Yeah.
don't usually have the trappings like this like gray void that we live in right now. Your screen is usually the full height and width. And then you yourself, you're chroma keyed and you're like in the bottom corner. And so what this means is if you have a chat overlay, it's going to be obstructing something,
Yeah.
right? And that's going to be a little obtrusive, right? Especially as more and more people chat, and it can cover up some of the meaningful stuff on your screen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it totally makes sense to have messages that disappear after some time. And ideally, I would love to eventually get to the point where that could maybe be a parameter on Show My Chat, so you
Hmm.
could have like a disappear after, and maybe you pass it like some time in milliseconds or seconds or something like that.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I currently don't have that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to figure out a way to do that with CSS only,
Okay, cool.
which can be done. But so that if that seems like your highest priority, right, is something that is not very obtrusive, like maybe it shows the message and it's clearly legible for what, like 10 seconds maybe. That seems like a good kind of place to start. What are some other, like, I guess, adjectives you would use to describe the kind of aesthetic you're going for?
Oh, that's a good question. Whew, I don't really know. I really like I think I like the bigger, more bubbly stuff. So like the Animalese one is very attractive to me,
Okay.
just personally. I really like that as a theme. Um, so I like big fonts. I don't know if that's just because like I'm like 38 now and everything I want everything to be just a little bit bigger so that I
Hmm.
can read it. But I don't know. I like things a little bit bigger than like kind of like the the standard like Twitch style where it's just, I don't know, like a 14 pixel like font
Yeah.
and they just kind of like load up on top of each other.
I
Um,
think I think especially because you've talked about these timing out, right? Legibility is going to be key, right? So
yes.
we you can handle a bit of obtrusiveness while a message is on because it's only going to be long enough for you to just like barely read it, right? And so over indexing on legibility is probably going to be a great sign.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big font energy. Yeah.
Okay.
That describes it well, Anthony. Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so like I think that's what I like about this is just kind of like bold and blocky, and I'm like a huge fan of like bold and blocky. Um, and then, yeah, cool, cool, cool. So, should we dive in?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm gonna put a link to the repo in the
Oh,
chat so that
please.
people
Yes,
can
thank you.
can also clone this because we've already cloned this. You've installed your dependencies. So yeah, first thing to do, let's go ahead and create a branch because I don't think you're gonna have permissions to just push up. So
Cool. Yeah. I think sorry, let me make sure that I'm on node 14 just to be sure. And then yeah, so let's create a branch. So we'll do get branch no wait, checkout.
yep,
Checkout branch lunch dev. Okay, cool.
yeah.
So now we have a branch.
Yeah. And I want to quickly look at the project structure. So if you go to if you pop open your source directory, there should be inside of that a themes directory, if I'm
Yes.
remembering my own code correctly. If you pop open themes, you'll notice that there's a bunch of style sheets, and all these style sheets have the same names as the drop down, the select on the homepage, as well as the query parameter for the actual overlay. So
Yes.
that's not a coincidence. It's set up to be automatically wired. So to create a new theme, step one is create a new style sheet,
Okay.
and the name of the style sheet is going to be the name of the theme.
Okay, perfect. So there's a little bit of like convention over configuration going on here.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
So I made a lunch dev.css theme.
Yeah, we have a few options here.
Okay.
One is you've already identified that you really like the Animalese theme,
Mhm.
so we have the option to go ahead and just copy and paste that over and just make tweaks as we want. That would be kind of, I guess, speed running it, perhaps.
Okay.
And I don't think that there's any harm in doing that. If there's a theme that gets you close-ish to what you like, then that I think is a great place to start.
Okay, cool. Now I also like so this is a little tricky because I also like the cards theme.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure which one's going to be closer. Uh I think I might go with cards
Okay.
and then animate them if that seems like a good.
Let's do it.
It's hard to say, but I think that this might be a little bit more our speed.
Sounds good.
Which
Yeah, for
one's
sure.
Oh wait, Animalese is smaller. That's kind of wild to think about, but let's go for it. Um okay, so we're going to copy this and then paste that in. So this is kind of like a, fast forward. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be hitting this I might just leave it up.
Hey, show us your passwords, Chan.
um okay, cool. So we have this so
Yeah.
so we have this. So we copy and pasted this, and now none of these so far as I can tell, are like specific to like that theme or channel or anything like that. That all happens in the JavaScript, right?
What do you mean by that?
Like
Uh,
so like nothing, so I don't need to, I guess if I copy and paste something here, I don't need to change any selectors with.
that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
the idea is the markup is always going to be the same, and the markup should have basically every API you could need to style a message the way you want. And so we can um, just kind of use a lot of the same selectors, and I've one of the reasons I'm super down for just copying and pasting,
Yeah,
right, is because I think even though stream chat overlays are going to look fairly different, everyone still basically wants to do the same few things, right? They
sure.
want to have something that maybe, is like bottom up or something like that,
Hmm.
and then it's gonna overflow off the top and hide the older messages. And then, people are gonna want to have their like uh emotes style to be roughly in line and roughly the size of the text. around it. You know, people all generally want the same few things, and
Sure.
so starting with those recipes like already kind of pre-baked for you is nice. You know.
Yeah, totally agree. Um, okay, cool. So we have this.
Yeah,
How do we start playing with this in like a development environment now
that's
that we
great.
have
Yeah,
this?
so let's go ahead and I always forget whether the command is npm run dev or
Okay,
npm start.
let's try
Um,
both. So we'll do npm run and see. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know that was a thing you could do. That's awesome. So it
Yes.
is npm run dev.
Okay, cool.
Um,
I love
it's
every everyone's talking about my Node experience. Yes, the last like handful October was a bad month for me and Node. Uh we would do these streams and we were trying to do stuff and it just ended up with me trying to fix my Node environment for like an hour. So yeah, there's some of that that energy is coming back to me always now. So we're going to do npm run dev.
Yep. And this is gonna pop open. This is gonna start things on localhost 8080. So you are gonna have to open up localhost 8080. Um,
Okay.
but it'll take you to the home page. And what I want to call out is if you open up the select there for the theme,
Yes.
um,
Oh,
one dev is in there now.
whoa. That's
So
magic, Ben.
yeah. And it's when you click get my URL, it's gonna give you the showmy.chat.
Okay, but I
We're
just
gonna
want this.
instead, yeah, we're instead gonna do localhost 8080/c,
Okay.
etc.
Okay, cool. So now,
So
oh, sorry.
yeah, so this looks blank, right? It looks like we've broken something. It's just because there's not been any messages shared since you opened this up. So when I start putting test messages in there, and if folks in the chat can go ahead and help us out here, you can see that we're already starting to run this theme. This theme is, it's copying everything over from the cards theme, but we are running this live. One of the things I want to do is create a better demo experience because the fact that you have to like test this out with a live chat is, I think, a frustrating developer experience,
Okay,
especially because I think every time we make a change, it might we might lose the messages that are in there.
I see. Yep.
But yeah, so we've already got our overlay up. And in fact, if you really wanted, you could build a complete theme here and then run it locally and then use your local host as your browser source in OBS. And you wouldn't even need to have this like all merged in, right? It is a fully
Gotcha.
functioning theme here.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Okay, cool.
yeah. So now let's make some changes here.
Yeah.
And I almost the style sheets for better or for worse have been organized like uh basically hierarchically. So at the very top of the style sheet, we have the selector that's data Twitch chat. That is a data attribute that's put on the like underlying like UL element that represents the entire list. Um, so this whole list of things can be targeted with data Twitch chat.
Okay.
Fun fact, the data Twitch chat data attribute receives a value which is your channel name. So it's actually set like you have a UL with data Twitch chat equals lunch dev. What that means is you could, in theory, style different channels, chat boxes differently if you really wanted. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know of a good use case for that, but it felt like there was no good reason to exclude folks from that API.
Yeah, let's see. Having trouble with my window width here in Safari, but yeah, so
Hmm.
I was just trying to show that. So we have
Yeah,
data Twitch chat equals lunch dev.
yeah.
Cool,
And
perfect.
so if Prince later wants to like have a theme, but like specifically for Prince's needs, maybe something needs to be slightly different.
Yeah.
You could have like data Twitch chat equals Maxell W, and
Okay, cool.
then yeah, do slightly different things, maybe set different custom properties or something. I don't know what folks would use that for. In general, I try to avoid doing very channel specific stuff, but it's a thing you could do if you really wanted.
Sure, sure. So like but like that's a good call out because like all of this stuff is just is the selectors are generic, but if we wanted to, we could make them more specific, kind of knowing that like I'm doing this for my chat. Now, unfortunately, that means that it would just be for Like, so this theme that we're making, if someone tried to like see it, they wouldn't actually see those styles unless they were in my chat, which is kind of an odd
Yeah.
type of problem. But I guess you could, if you wanted to, kind of like use that to specify, like if you wanted to have a general kind of like version of this,
Hmm.
with maybe like specific call outs. I don't know. Maybe that could be a useful way to go about it. Prince says, I wonder if this works well for streams between two shows. Oh, that's a really interesting idea. So like if you're streaming to two
Oh, yeah.
channels at once?
Yeah, that would be you could do something where like yeah, maybe you and I were doing a like joint special where like you're streaming on your channel, I'm streaming on mine. We're like doing a CSS battle or something like that, right? But we still both of our like we want our overlays to have like both channels chats, right? You could have a semantics dev chat on one side and a lunch dev chat on the other side. They could still rely on the same basic theme, but
Mm.
maybe use like the specific channels as like setting custom properties to like tweak the colors. You could do fun things with that, right? Like
Yeah.
there's totally, I'm sure that there are use cases like that. I just haven't seen it yet, but it would be incredibly rad, I
That
think.
would be super cool. Yeah. I love I love that idea. So there's a lot of potential here.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I love that. Love it, love it. Okay, cool. So we have, let me get a high level overview of what we're seeing so far. So we have
Yes.
a fonts import. We have like kind of like a basic, like a reset, I think, for HTML and body. Um,
Yeah.
setting the
Some
viewport.
things that yeah, some things to call out here is just to make things easier on everyone who's using the overlay as a browser source. I basically reset everything, like reset all the margins so that the browser source is the dimensions of the chat. So that you don't have to like try to figure out weird margins and stuff when
Cool.
you're messing with this in OBS.
Perfect. And then we set that font right there. Cool,
Yep.
perfect. Okay, cool. And so then the key selectors that this one's using, and it might be different from from theme to theme, but we
Mhm.
have data Twitch chat or data Twitch chat, whichever you prefer.
Mhm.
Data Twitch message. So this is going to be each message, and right now that's marked up as a list item, but
Yep.
this selector doesn't care if it was however you wanted to.
Yeah, so one of the things I did was I built this with the assumption that someone could, in theory, stick this on a site that they would expect people to hit.
Okay,
And so I actually do leverage semantic markup and things like alt text, even though I figure most people are purely using this for stream visuals. Again, it was one of those things of like, I didn't want to necessarily assume that for all use cases.
sure. Yeah, I love that. So this is the core styling for each message that we're
Yeah.
seeing. And then it looks like there's an animation here. So let's see, show. Yeah. So we got an animation, and that's doing the animation thing. So I think when these pop in, we're seeing that. Um, this is interesting. So data Twitch message not last of type. Do you mind explaining that one to me?
Yeah. So the idea with this particular theme, the cards theme, was that it wouldn't stack forever, right?
Hmm.
I had this idea of showing the like most recent four messages or something like that, but then I wanted the like most recent to be especially prominent. And so what you're highlighting here, the lines 60 through 66, is that is handling basically the most recent four messages, is my
I see.
understanding. Because everything else is like yeah, opacity zero, right? Like just n- non-existent, right? It's hidden. And then this not last of type takes the default styles, which are kind of this like more translucent, smaller, and instead says, no, if this is the most recent message, show it completely prominently. So that's what
Gotcha.
where you're getting this kind of offset effect. Um, we may end up doing something akin to this,
Okay.
but it sounds like you're probably going to be using much more like animation timelines, not DOM order type stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. But this is really interesting to see. So this is kind of like, I if I'm reading it correctly, this is the styling for these messages. So any message that isn't the latest message,
Yes.
and then that's going to have so it's like just reduced opacity, and it makes it a little bit smaller, which is very cool. Um, but then it looks like we are showing, so this controls any message that was written before, or like Anything more than
Yeah.
these last four messages just gets a opacity 0. So it disappears from the visually disappears.
Yep.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. And then I think this transform, is that like an animation out kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Was the idea is I didn't want it to just like fade. I wanted it to kind of almost flip and fade.
yeah. Now we do have a class here, so I'm curious.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about this.
So, for one thing, I lift up as much information as I can, as much of the API to the highest possible level of relevancy. And so the list item that has the whole message has all the information about who the sender is, what their roles are, um, all that kind of stuff, purely because they might want you as someone theming might want that information to apply to styles across the entire message.
Yep.
But then within that list item, I have more nodes that handle the actual sender as well as the actual message. And so I needed a way to indicate, like, this node, while the information about who the sender is has been lifted up to the message level,
Mm-hmm.
this node actually is that sender. Um, and I haven't quite figured out what the best API is for that.
Okay.
But when I'm trying to indicate, like, this is what this node is, I kind of have taken to using classes for that
Interesting. Okay.
because there's not really more state to add there, perhaps.
Yeah. So we have. So if I'm seeing this correctly, so in like in the DOM, we have our unordered list, we have a list item, and then that has all of these, like kind of as we've covered already, but then nested inside of that, we have a class for Twitch chat sender, which is what we're looking at right over here, and
Yep.
then Twitch chat message. So these are two pieces of the discrete pieces of
And there's actually a third node that could be in there, which
okay.
is a snippet. Like if you were to reply to someone, so you're not actually gonna see it in the styles here, but because I've got like I've got hidden display none. But if
Okay.
you inspect the markup here, you'll see that there actually is a small element that has a little snippet of what the message was that I was replying to.
Gotcha. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So this theme doesn't have that thing, but the node is still there if we wanted to style it.
Yes.
Gotcha. And so that's going to be in that's going to be data Twitch message reply.
Yep.
So if we had wanted to style it, we could just grab that selector, paste it in here, and put our
Is
styles.
right below you, buddy.
Oh,
Line 77.
I have found that, if I were a better reader, I'd probably be a better programmer in general. But yes,
Mhm.
there we go. I
Yeah,
just
I
get
think
so
so.
enthusiastic.
Yeah. And so some context here, right? Like I couldn't think of a good way to fit in the reply into the aesthetic of the card theme. So I just decided, you know what? We're not going to show reply snippets in this theme. That's totally okay. If that's a decision you want to make for your theme, have at it, right? Nuke stuff you don't care about. It's fine.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's see. So what do we have else? So we have the reply, so we can see that now. What a convenient segue. And then we have mentioned user. So it looks like maybe there's an additional selector in.
Yeah. In fact, if you look at Anthony's latest message here, he tagged Travis. He replied to Travis, and so yeah, there is this mark element. Uh,
Ooh.
Look at me using those semantics. But it has this data Twitch mentioned user, and it has building bedrock layout there. Again, there's more information than perhaps you'll ever need here. But if you wanted to make it so that every time someone mentioned you, for instance, as the broadcaster, it could be a different color than anytime someone mentions someone else. Stuff like that.
Interesting.
You have tons of APIs to like customize things exactly as you want. Um, and I don't know the use cases for them, and
Sure.
that's incredibly thrilling.
Yeah, well, this is so fun. It's fun to see that you have in place all of the like the pieces that we need. And so it's really just a matter at this point of just kind of like what you care about, exposing that, and then, playing around with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And similarly with the data Twitch emote, right? That also includes the short code that you use to like type out the like what the name of the emote is. And so if you wanted to style certain emotes differently, maybe emotes in general they look nice, but when you use lunch dev specific emotes, which funny enough, you have a prefix that you can target. So you can target all lunch dev emotes with one selector. You could target your specific channel's emotes and maybe have it like have a little glowy effect, or maybe it just rotates forever or something like that. Like I don't
Interesting.
again, most themes probably won't need all of these APIs,
For
but
sure,
they're
for sure.
there. They're
Yeah.
there in case you need them.
I love it. I love it. Cool. Is there anything that isn't, so I think we covered a lot of it. Is there anything like represented in some of the other themes that we haven't seen here?
Uh, I don't think so. I
Okay.
think just about anything we've seen like yeah, I think we've seen basically everything we need to start working. We understand kind of the building blocks we've got to work with and stuff like that.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so where I always have a hard time like trying to decide like where we should start. So now that we have a like context of like all of the pieces that we have, the selectors
Yeah.
and whatnot, I'm curious like it feels like maybe we should start by changing the like kind of start with the animations so that they like disappear after a
I
certain
was thinking
amount
the
of time.
same thing. That
Okay.
seemed to be your highest priority. And once we've got that working, we can then figure out, how to make this feel more lunch dev.
Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because I think that that's probably the highest priority, and thank you for sussing that out. Um, and let's do that. So
Yeah.
I let's
Just nuke it. Nuke anything you don't need, and we'll come back in. So um you probably don't actually want these two selectors here, right? Because these target the most recent things, but it
okay.
sounds like you don't actually care if something's the most recent, you care how long it's been. So
Yeah.
do everything using animation timelines, it sounds
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
So we don't need these selectors.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna take those out. I'm gonna comment them out just in case we want to use them for reference. I really like. I want to call out right away. I think it's super cool that you're using the like the refreshing that's available in
Oh
11D,
yeah.
because we just saved that and now you can see all of the chat, which is kind of not part of this theme the way that it was before. So that's super cool and also nice because we don't have a means of like reconstructing this chat
Yeah.
easily. So it's kind of nice to just work in that way.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is something that was interesting. We had talked about this a little bit before, just kind of like brainstorming. And I
Yes.
remember we had a little bit of trouble with animations. I had wanted to have something that was like kind of like an in and out, like discrete steps. But
Mhm.
we were having trouble making that work with because it was like it would animate in and then it would go to zero again and then it would like pop and then come back in and then
Yeah.
animate out.
I am not a CSS animation expert, so you might be on
Me
your own
neither.
here. But my understanding is there is an animation direction property that can control basically what happens at the end of the animation. Um, so I don't know how we're gonna do this. I legitimately don't know.
Okay, cool.
But I think can kind of experiment.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. I also have like a little bit. I copied like some kind of like I don't know, just a little bit of the animation part because I am also not an animation expert.
Mhm.
So this is kind of like new territory for me.
Yeah.
Um, but let me see kind of like I'm gonna pull out some stuff that I had already. Normal, reverse, alternate, and alternate reverse. Okay, so let's see. So we have Twitch. So this is our Twitch message, and then okay. So I think I had pulled this. I duplicated that, but that really doesn't matter. Um,
Yeah. I recently went through and tried to clean up some of the selectors that I had in some of the themes because um, I originally had built this with like SAS and then like compiled it down. And so I was taking advantage of nesting. But then I realized like, well, if folks are going to be copy pasting themes, then they're going to be like copy pasting all those selectors that they probably don't need. And I wasn't sure whether it was better to like leave them in so you understood the hierarchy or remove them so that you like don't have gobs and gobs of like specificity stuff going on.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy. So I copied and pasted just a couple, like the two things that I had kind of like worked on a little bit before, and I want to
Okay.
see if they work. I'm curious if we need new messages though. Okay, so both of those faded in, and then they fade out. Okay, cool. It's funny because it doesn't apply to the messages that we didn't like. That's one thing that's really interesting
That
about
is weird.
these is that it only applies to new messages, which is totally fine, I think. But yeah, it's kind of like an interesting little thing. Fade in, fade out. Okay, cool. So yeah, so one of the things that I had wanted to do it with, like, kind of like a full on like kind of control the like animation points specifically. But I think that what I was realizing is that we needed access to be able to apply the class, like, so in JavaScript, like apply that class, have it like do all of its stuff, and then kind
Mm,
of like, take the class off or whatnot. Um, and so the way that I had found around this was to just control the whole animation. Um, and just by doing that, like, from 0 to like 10% of the animation, so whatever this duration is, um that'll do opacity to 1, and then like kind of from 90 to out, it'll take it back out to 0. Does that seem like a
nice.
reasonable way to maybe tackle this?
Yeah, absolutely. Seems incredibly maintainable as well. Like fewer properties in fewer places. I love it.
Yeah, some of these when I was like diving into the animation API,
Hmm.
wow, there's a lot of possible options that you can pass to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that this is a great place to start. Part of the, I think, struggle we had last time that uh we tried to do this was because we were trying to do other things like including the DOM order stuff, right? And it's
Yeah.
like anytime you like change things after or mid animation, things just get weird. But if you're only looking to do a timed in and a timed out, then I think this should be all we need.
Okay, cool, cool. So then I think we can probably copy, let's see. So we could probably copy some of this cards style, right?
Totally. If you want,
Um,
up to you.
yeah. So we don't necessarily need the transition because we're doing the animations now. Um, so it looks like we would just grab this. Is that right?
Uh, yeah. Depends on whether you want like the box shadow and stuff like that. But you've totally got things you can do. Um,
Okay.
so let's see if this works. This.
Okay, cool. So we see now that like card style. Now what happens if we add another one? Okay, cool. So with pretty minimal configuration, we've been able to get like a pretty decent proof of concept of like,
Mhm.
what this thing should be. Now, if we wanted to, um we could also combine it with let's see, this one, right? So like not last of type if we wanted to. uh
So I think this is specifically where things were kind of a little breaky. Is anytime you like change things like after an animation or something like that. So I
okay.
think this gets weird, perhaps.
Okay. Well, let's see. So let's see. So we have, okay, so let's how would you feel next about maybe like customizing our font? Does that seem like a
Yeah,
good? Okay.
I think we totally should. So, a key thing to note is that currently the way everything is set up, the only customizations you can provide are the customizations that can be handled in pure CSS techniques. So while it might, in theory, be better to have like uh, a link, like with the like prefetch and stuff like that to get the Google fonts,
Mm-hmm.
currently the only technique we've got is the import statement at the
Sure.
top.
Makes sense.
So yeah, we can bring in our fonts, make it some very lunch devy chan.dev branding, you know.
All right. So I have really been a big fan of this. Oh wait, that's going to download it. How do I actually get the?
So you pick what you want.
Yep.
You pick the weights and the italics that you want, and then you click select the style over on the right.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's do I like it kind of blocky, so maybe let's start with this medium here. I like
Okay.
medium. So we'll select that, and then that gives us the link. Cool, cool, cool.
And so
And
you're going to want the at import
okay,
bullet point there. There you go.
change that to add import, and then we just grab this part inside of the style there, right?
Yeah.
and we can replace what we have here. That looks similar.
Mhm.
So I'm feeling confident in that. And then we just need to change the font family in
Yeah.
our HTML body. Is that
Now, do
right?
you think yeah, and do you think that multiple things might receive rubric? Oh,
Oh,
I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
oh yeah. I
Um,
was just gonna do it across the board.
I love
Um,
it. I dig it.
why not, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe we can change the font weight based on the different, or we can add an additional font weight if we want.
Mhm.
So let's throw some chat in there.
Is that rubric?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It looks,
What's rubric?
yeah, looks Rubik. I like
Yeah.
how Travis is the one words. This is super cool. This is like already like pretty close, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you might change some things, like you might remove the gradient on the cards or whatever, but like,
Okay.
yeah, it's already looking very much so your brand. I think let's go ahead and add a uh actually just a sec. Aguna Matata, can you do me a favor and share those animated emotes again?
Ooh.
Because you are one of the few people I know of who actively has animated emotes. Uh, and I want to prove to y'all that Show My Chat supports animated emotes just out of the box for you. So, Haguna, there we go. Yep,
Oh yeah. Look at
those working, right?
these.
Yeah. Yep.
So cool.
So, that support already in there for you. So yeah, absolutely, 100%. Just that's not the kind of thing you should have to worry about.
Yeah.
Building a theme.
You've done such a good job with this, Ben. I
Thank you.
really appreciate all the thought you've put into this. Um, I'm gonna try something because I think
Yeah.
I'm curious. What are your thoughts about maybe trying to integrate this into our theme right now? Because that's a big part of doing this.
Integrating what into your theme?
Oh, into our integrating this chat into our
Oh,
OBS.
yeah. Let's go ahead and do that, and we'll even I think one of the reasons I might yeah let's go ahead and do that. I think
Okay,
let's do that. Yeah. So
let's see how weird things get for a second. So I'm
yeah
going to bring OBS over into the view that we should all be seeing on stream.
yep.
We have kind of all of our stuff. It's a little bit confused as to what it's supposed to be showing right now, but that's totally
Yeah.
fine. I
So you
think
might yeah, you might for folks at home who maybe haven't set up stream overlays before, you might be wondering like, why have we been doing all this stuff with web technology? How does a browser make its way into OBS? OBS allows you to create what's called a browser source, which is where you take the contents of a web page and just stick it into your feed. And so by having this as a web page and eventually a web page that we will be able to like actually like everyone can hit, um, we can pull this in as a page that becomes part of our view. So Chan here has been creating a browser source. Um, we're going to, for our URL, we are going to do that localhost 8080/c, etc.
okay.
Um,
So here in this browser source, we're going to add this. Now in this, just to reiterate, this is the local version. And so like if we wanted to run this locally, maybe like as we're developing it, we would need to run this local server
yes.
until we push this into Show My Chat, where we could then run it from the public URL.
Yeah, so if you don't want to have to deal with all the stuff like merging, and then if you realize there's a change you want to make, like and having to submit another pull request or something like that, you want it to be local. It can just be local. That's totally fine. Um, and so let's see. I'm gonna put it in a message here so we can kind of see that pop up. There you go. So
Okay,
now you can
cool.
kind of resize this, place it within your themes, etc. So
Cool. And so then if I wanted to specifically kind of like if I wanted to change the width, so like let's call this like 480 maybe.
yeah,
And so cuz if I change the width here, it's kind of changing like the whole
yeah.
ratio of everything, but I can
Which is
just kind of change the window that's it's being rendered in by changing those properties.
which is a great thing to call out. Like if you're building a theme, build it with the understanding that it will likely need to be responsive, right? Folks might have it at slightly different widths and stuff like that. So do things to like take up the full width and stuff. That way, anyone who's presumably consuming your theme doesn't have any surprises, right? Everything just kind of works regardless of what size they want things at.
Interesting. That's good. That's a really good tip. Let me see. Let me put another message in there.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so this is kind of fun. So I wasn't sure if that like whole like that whole thing was gonna work, but
Oh
woohoo!
yeah.
But yeah, so we got to show that. Now we're seeing that like so all this stuff is going. The messages are coming in, and
Yeah.
they're everything's looking great, and they're disappearing as they're supposed to. The OBS is smart enough to make sure that the background gets removed, which is looking pretty cool.
Yeah. I would like to highlight another cool thing that we can do with this theme. And I don't know that it's a decision you're going to stick with. However, I think it's a fantastic way to introduce a bit of branding, which is the idea of theming people based on their roles.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. Okay.
so we congratulations, Travis. We're all very proud of you. Um, so currently, I want you to look for there's a custom property that's being consumed. It's called Twitch Sender Color, I believe.
Okay. Cool.
So anyone who wants can who has a Twitch account can set basically this is the color that I show up in our chat. And so I have green set to mine. Haguna Matata is yellow, and as we can see, that is murder on color contrast for any light theme. But so we are consuming that. So if folks have set that, we are respecting their color, basically.
Okay.
But another thing we could do is we could say, hey, I actually want this to be based on your role. So I want the broadcaster, lunch dev in this case, to be, maybe red. And I want moderators to be green or
Okay.
something like that. This is a thing that we can do with ease, right? So let's set a basic default color for your standard channel that has no role.
Okay.
Um,
Would I do that here, or should I do set that custom property like on the body HTML?
so the Twitch sender color specifically is going to be like the color they chose. I wouldn't recommend trying to override
Okay, got it.
that. So instead, let's just set on line 97. Let's set color to be just some hard coded color, maybe.
Okay,
Um,
so you'd mentioned red. Let's try that.
so you're gonna completely want to get rid of this custom property
Oh,
altogether
got it.
in this line, right? Just set it to be like color red or color hot pink or something like that.
I see. Cool. Thanks for the clarification there.
Not a problem. Um,
I
and
like I
again,
like the
this
hot pink suggestion.
no worries. Moderators can be like tomato or something like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and now add in a couple of other roles. And so we might ask ourselves, how do we do that? How do we add
Ooh,
those roles?
I like
Right?
that hot pink. That looks good.
It's a good hot pink, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's inspect the markup and let's actually take a look
Sure.
at Travis's message there because
Okay.
Travis subscribed earlier and so he's going to have a role.
Okay. Cool. 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 Yep.
So yeah, Travis actually has two roles, which is really interesting. So
Boop.
roles, there is there is an enum of roles that there could be, which are founder, subscriber, mod, and VIP, and broadcaster.
Okay.
Those are all the roles. But folks can have one to many of those, or they can have none at all. And so our selectors are going to have to be really smart about how we target this.
Okay.
So um, let us let's handle subscribers. So let's make subscribers maybe Dodger Blue or something like that.
Okay.
So let's I'm gonna let you write the selector the way you expect here.
Okay. So here I'm going to do this, and then we're going to do something kind of fun. So with these attribute selectors, if I do just equals, it's going to look for this exact string and
Yeah.
explicitly this string.
So
However,
if someone like Travis is a founder and a subscriber, right? Like that's not gonna target it.
right.
That's the problem.
And so we'd have to do something like founder, subscriber, and then just, hope and pray that those don't ever switch, because if they did and you had subscriber first, like this wouldn't match
Yeah.
anymore. One of the cool things is that we can use this tilde for the attribute selectors. And then this selector works the same way that we would expect a class selector to work. So we have the, if you have those like space delimited, class selectors, you could. It's the same kind of concept.
Yep. So let's yes,
Yay!
this is why Chen and I are fully on the attribute selector board. Because you can do stuff like this in a way that you can do with class, but like not as good, not as ergonomic.
It's
Uh,
not as good. It's not as good.
yeah,
Like I love the fact that this feels like kind of like tokenized, but then
yeah,
you can have these extra like, selectors. It's almost I've always kind of like thought about it like like functions and arguments, or if you're a React developer, components and props. And
yeah.
so I really like yeah, big fan here.
So we are going to want to specifically target the Twitch chat sender node that's a child of this because the Twitch sender roles, this is placed on the list item,
I
but
see.
the sender name, their display name is a child within. Um,
Gotcha. So
so
we'll do a space
yep,
like that.
yeah.
Okay.
And let's set color to be like, I don't know, either tomato or Dodger blue or just something like that. We are all child within. Yeah, so tomato now. So I'm subscribed. So I'll put in howdy there, and I show up as tomato, but
Ooh.
Prince is not yet subscribed, so he is still hot pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we call out users? Like if we wanted to make
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
Let's go that route. And there's more on this front that we want to tackle.
I think this probably gets us far enough, right? Because once you understand, like, oh, there's all the different roles that exist, like then it's just up to you to figure out what styles you would want for those. But the nice thing about doing something like this is it lets you confirm that everything falls within like your brand colors and therefore maybe meets color contrast requirements, as opposed to Hakuna Matata's yellow, right? Um,
Totally.
so yeah, there's things you can do. But if you wanted to target a specific user, I want to draw your attention to the LI, which has this data Twitch sender. Um, there we go. Yeah, it is just straight up data Twitch sender.
Okay.
So uh, yeah, let's target a specific person.
Okay, let's do Prince here.
Yeah. Or, a thing you could do is if you know you've got a bot in the channel, right? Like you've got like Nightbot or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
okay.
That's I mean, it would be wonderful to style Prince because Prince is wonderful and should stand out. But just making this like real world use cases, if you know you've got like some bots in your channel, this is a handy way to differentiate them from other messages as well. So
Okay. Fire
tons
brick. Ooh, that is
yeah,
a nice
tons and
color.
tons of different things, right?
A nice color.
So yeah,
Ooh, looking fresh.
and from there, we've really seen a whole lot of the different customizability that we've got. So, this uh, from here, it really just becomes just kind of customizing things the way you want. You've seen all the APIs we've got, so now you just get to make something that looks lunch dev, which
Yeah.
probably won't be a whole bunch of just different colors like this, but uh, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do stuff like this. You should be able to have that level of granularity if you want.
I love that. Let's do one more. So you'd mentioned Nightbot.
Yeah,
I think would someone mind typing bang Discord?
you got yeah, because Nightbot usually has like this periwinkle type color.
Okay, cool. What color should we make Nightbot?
That is up to you.
Oof.
I think
So bad at this. Okay, so it is Nightbot. Now, I imagine that we really need to get the capitalization correct here.
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I've considered maybe making it all lowercase, like no matter what, just because then like because folks can change their capitalization anytime, but I have not done that. So if that is a thing that would be helpful for you all, file an issue on the repo, and I'll put that repo in the chat as well.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna make it coffee, which is gonna be again murder on the screen, but I like all
Sure.
these like kind of like fake named things. Oh yeah, just total murder, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Demetrius, what's up? Welcome.
Demetrius, hello.
Big ups for Demetrius there. Um Ben, this is the coolest thing. I love this, and like I'm honestly amazed at how you've made this very ergonomic, and I'm really like happy about this. How do you feel about kind of like what we've been able to do here in pretty quick order?
I feel great. I think we've got like all the information we need, like if um honestly, like this is what you would need to get going, right? And everything from here is just tweaking it to get something you like, something that works with your themes. Prince is wondering if they can insert a little emoji on top of the Nightbot name. Yeah, you totally could, right? Like that would be a
Oh,
you could use like pseudo selectors, which is a thing we just straight up have not used, right? So if you know you've got a bot, like let's go ahead and do this like Twitch sender, and then let's do um Nightbot, but then
hmm,
let's do an after,
okay.
right? And we can actually, so it's going to be on the Twitch chat sender element
Oh, right.
itself,
Yep.
like
Thanks.
styled. But we'll add content, and we can add like a little robot face emoji or something like that, you
Okay.
know, um, which we will have to get. Ah, yes. Um, so there we go. So every time your bot sends a message, have you saved this? You have, haven't you?
I have. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh.
you could do this with your moderators, for instance. If you have a moderator, you could give them a little emoji, stuff like that. There's just so many tons, like so many great ideas that you can have. And I so far the API has been everything I've needed, right? And it sounds
Yeah.
like it's been everything and more for other folks as well. So I feel great about what we've been able to do. I don't think we built necessarily the theme for you quite yet,
Sure.
but like you certainly know how to now, right?
Yeah, and I think that more than anything, it's like it's really cool to like see how quickly it came together. Like I feel like more than anything, it's like yeah, I might tinker with the like absolute styles of it, but being able to copy and paste and then just kind of change, the way that this one thing,
Yeah.
basically like data Twitch message,
Hmm.
being able to customize that to very quickly kind of like show and hide these messages is exactly what we were
Yes.
after. And so kind of the rest is just like tinkering with it as I learn a little bit more about like how that fits into my stream or whatnot. i
Yeah.
feel like I feel like you have a follow-up potential with Prince on stream, making making one for them as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Prince, if that's the thing you want, let's do it. Let's do it. But yeah, so and to answer Demetrius's question, because I know Demetrius has just joined. So I have built out a plug and play Twitch chat, like themed Twitch chat overlay generator, where you can put in your channel name. You can pick a theme from one of the style sheets that have already been merged in, and you just have a URL that you can start to use. And so let's go ahead. You know what? Let's do yeah, Animalese or something like that.
Okay.
And go ahead and open that up in another tab just so we can show Demetrius.
Yeah, anyone
This
who's
URL, this is something that you can plug into your OBS browser source. It uses comfy.js under the hood, which in turn uses TMI under the hood. But the idea is you shouldn't have to worry about that, right? You shouldn't have to be parsing this. You shouldn't have to do any of the stuff of like figuring out how to get the emojis to work. You just want something themed, right? Plug and play and go. Start streaming.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Honestly, the first handful of streams that I did that I wanted to show chat and I wasn't like ready with my my OBS setup. I just opened this in a browser window and just like tucked it in the corner. Like it's great. It's great.
yeah. So yeah, plug and play and go. If you have any questions or if there's any like further API you need, there's just something you want to be able to do with this and you can't yet, please file an issue on the repo and or contribute it yourself. I super thrilled to support themes. One of the themes in there is Mind Chat, which is inspired by Minecraft, and that was
Should we
built
open
by
that
our own
up?
traps. And so um, if you open that up,
Yep.
uh,
Uh-oh. What did I do? Oh, I copied only the portion of the URL. I was in my local setup mindset. There we go.
uh,
All
there we
right.
go.
So oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I absolutely accept contributions of themes. I accept if there's anything you want to add to the API for this, you totally can. And in general, if there's just a recipe, if you're wondering like, how do I do this? Like, file an issue, and let's make this a thing that more and more people can use. Because right now, the biggest limitation is just that there aren't themes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it so much. Ben, thanks so much for kind of taking me through this. I had one last
Yes.
kind of question about this. Now, one thing that I've been thinking is with my overlay setup, I was kind of thinking because I have my face like down here in this corner,
Yeah.
and I was kind of thinking maybe I would play with having them come in at the top and then come down. I'm
Okay.
curious, what is the easiest way to reverse the order? Is there a selector for that or
I think
CSS for
that's
that?
just a thing you can do with lists, probably. Well, it's display flex and then flex direction column reverse would be my guess.
Okay, cool. So we have so right now they're all kind of the traditional order. So we would do this is actually one of my favorite. I learned this from you. Um,
I
let's see.
learned this from watching you.
Column reverse. Is that right?
Should be right.
So we stuck with column, but then we added the kind of like reverse suffix, which should, yes, now they're coming in from the top. So if I wanted to, I could move now in OBS, move this to the top, anchor
Yeah.
that up there. And then as chats come in, they come in and then they kind of go
Hmm.
down.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah.
And then they
Uh,
disappear.
yeah. And so you should be able to do just about anything you need. And I would be incredibly, incredibly excited to see what else gets made. And I have more ideas for how to make this experience even more ergonomic for folks. But
Yeah.
yeah, I I had such a fun time showing this off with you.
Thanks so much, Ben. And then do you mind posting one last time the I mean we have the URL, so I'll post in the URL. Do you mind posting in the Git repo?
You got it. I'll do that another time. Um uh there we go. Boom.
Cool.
Uh let's make it happen, y'all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is so much fun. Ben, thank you so much for this idea. Thanks for we were just kind of talking. We're like, well, we could do it, or we could do it on stream, and then like like spread the good news of this like really cool tool that you've made. So I hope that more of you use it because it's really awesome and contribute. And Ben, thanks so much for your time. I hope that you really enjoy these next couple weeks of streaming. Um, Really cool. If people want to learn more about the upcoming events, what's the best URL to get those at?
Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Bendy Myers, and then follow the stream on Twitter, which is twitter.com/some antics dev. Boom, got them both.
My internet is going very slow, probably because I'm streaming, but yes, right there. So Ben D Myers on Twitter, and then Some Antics Dev, and then follow also Some Antics Dev on Twitch, and you'll get those alerts whenever you go live. Um,
Yeah,
Ben, I appreciate you. You're one of my favorite people to know, and so thank you so much for your time today. Um, Chat, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this and learned something, and we'll see you next time.
have a good one.
Bye, friends.